We're talking about MrBeast again today. MrBeast, if you didn't know, is YouTube's cash cow and the golden boy who has been on the grind for quite some time, and he's reached heights that no other creator has ever probably even dreamed of, and especially has never achieved before. That being said, YouTube's biggest creator has been in some very hot water in the past few weeks.
Trouble in Beastland? MrBeast is facing controversy on several different fronts, and all this comes at a terrible time, right when Amazon is investing potentially hundreds of millions of dollars into the Beast games.
Beginning in the last week of July and continuing to this day, MrBeast and his entire company have been under extreme scrutiny.
He is the #1 YouTube star, said to be worth $500 million, and his empire is having a little bit of trouble, and he's in a little bit of hot water.
So we have the whole Ava Tyson situation that we've covered. The timeline of that is very clear, and after that, a former employee by the name of Dawson, aka Dogpack404, released an hour-long video detailing claims that MrBeast and his crew were running illegal lotteries and faking videos.
It's insane that he can flip these massively profitable illegal lotteries targeted towards children as an act of generosity.
I'm gonna give you guys a few minutes to go place an order at shopmrbeast.com. Anyone watching any of the lives, and we're gonna throw iPhones in some of them.
So Dawson has put out a part 2 after the massive success and resonance of his part 1 video. I interviewed him about it. It's been going viral. It has like 12 or 13 million views at the time of recording this. Part 2, also an hour-long video. The contents of part 2 are even more damning evidence than the first, and the first one was pretty bad.
Even if that guy didn't do anything, they still knew about it and he was still around.
But it's important to note, we still do not have a response from MrBeast. There's been no debunking. There's been, it's just Dawson and the narrative that it wants to see MrBeast destroyed, essentially. I'm gonna try to be as fair and balanced as I possibly can. Not Fox News style, but like, I don't know. What's fair? I don't know. I'm gonna be reasonable though. I'm gonna try to be reasonable, guys. I will say, as of right now, pre-MrBeast response, things are not looking good for Jimmy Beast. Things are not looking good for the brand. It's pretty bad. And I'll go over the parts that I think are the worst at the end of the video. But first, let's do a recap of part 1, just to get you in the loop. On July 24th, Dawson called out MrBeast for being an attention casino manipulating children into consuming his brand.
MrBeast just uses gambling psychology to exploit young children for profit. He's just become the first casino where the currency you pay with is attention.
All parts of it. The content, the toys, they have toys now, the candy, all that shit. In the video, he first alleges that MrBeast uses psychological manipulation tactics such as behavioral learning to trick his younger viewers into consuming more of his content.
Step 1 is getting the viewer to associate the brand with trust and authority. MrBeast videos are real, and he's a great guy that gives away big rewards to his loyal followers. Step 2 is showing the viewers that when people interact with MrBeast in a way that benefits MrBeast, when they do what he tells them to do, they win big rewards. And step 3 is finally calling on the viewer to act in some way that benefits the brand, promising big rewards in return. Now it's your turn to do what MrBeast tells you, and you will win big rewards.
Dawson then goes on to claim that MrBeast fakes his videos and rigs his contestants.
MrBeast fakes his videos in ways that are worse than you realize. I say that because he's been exposed for faking videos before, and the common response is, why does it matter if the videos are fake? They're just meant to be entertainment. A large part of MrBeast's brand is the fact that he doesn't fake videos.
Dawson also points out numerous instances in MrBeast's videos where things are clearly CGI'd in, which is kind of the antithesis of something being real. It's not real, it's fake. CGI, it's computer generated.
This train track is CGI, these bus wheels are CGI, this explosion is fake, this shredder is CGI, this car is digitally lifted, this pit is fake, this guy is fake, this raccoon is a paid actor, this island costs more than $1, this city is not abandoned, these buildings are CGI, but it's not your only way out. You can literally get an Uber to the airport for $20. That's not a lurker. It's just a guy. This whole room is fake. This contestant is an actor and a secret employee at MrBeast. They haven't got through this fake door twice. This line is scripted. This action is scripted. In fact, pretty much all the videos with Mac are scripted.
He also claims, in unison with the CGI fake visuals claim, that a lot of the plots and narratives of the videos are fake as well, such as selling the island for $1, buying the island for $1, whatever the I don't know how that shit's possible, but I guess so. Additionally, Dawson alleges that Jimmy gives away some prizes to predetermined contestants, and specifically calls out this guy Mac, who is known to work within the company, and the videos that he is in are rigged to have him win or have him receive some form of prize. I don't know why he likes that guy so much, but that guy seems to win a decent amount, you know, pretty standard amount, I think. Maybe.
Wait, he's about to be the first one out? That's unlike him.
Even though you got out first, I still have a prize for you. Just wait here.
Oh, first person out gets a car, and it just happened to be your friend Mac.
Dawson shows that FTC laws require that giveaways do not require any sort of paid entry or consideration to win.
A contest, for example, eliminates chance, and a sweepstakes eliminates consideration. In determining if any MrBeast giveaways have been illegal lotteries, we need to identify a prize, which is distributed through random chance and cannot be won without spending money.
However, MrBeast has done numerous streams saying that if you buy a t-shirt, you will win a prize, but it was never clear whether anyone actually won any prizes. Furthermore, he talks about how Jimmy promises all sorts of giveaways but never actually follows through.
Just to keep things fun and interesting, as if putting a photo on the moon isn't interesting enough. Someone who puts a photo on the moon, or if you buy the bundle, whatever, and the next 30 minutes, we'll just fly you down to be in a video.
3 years later, the spaceship finally launched, carrying beautiful pictures of deceased loved ones to the moon, where they would be immortalized. It fucking exploded. So obviously MrBeast refunded everyone, right? Right? Is it MrBeast's fault that the rocket exploded? No. Is it his fault that he advertised it as for $10, I will put your photo on the moon?
For $10, I'll put whatever picture you want on the moon.
When he couldn't guarantee that? Yes, of course.
Dawson uses all this evidence to point and create the fact that he, MrBeast, is baiting his viewers to watch more so he can have better watch time, to have better relationships with advertisers, make more money, etc. Feed the beast, as they say.
Prolonged attention is definitely a form of consideration. In the attention economy, it is the valuable resource that advertisers directly pay MrBeast for. So in these live streams when MrBeast says, hey guys, today we're doing a bunch of illegal lotteries, but also we're gonna be giving away some free stuff to people who keep watching, he does that to boost viewer numbers.
The end of the video is saved for Dawson talking about Beast Burger and Feastables and how Jimmy is a hypocrite for claiming that he wants to condemn the unhealthy food of America.
I wanted to just make a better for you snack brand because I think a lot of the stuff out there is just terrible for you.
Because obviously so much obesity and disease comes from the stuff we eat. Like Hershey's, for example, there's 10 ingredients, super processed. Our Feastables bars are 5 ingredients, and just all the ingredients are way higher quality. And it's infinitely better than the other options out there.
But then mass markets some of the most unhealthy products to young children.
MrBeast also just launched a combo with Zaxby's, which if you get a soda, it's over 2,000 calories for one meal.
Because obviously so much obesity and disease comes from the stuff we eat.
The only thing real in this video is the new MrBeast box at Zaxby's.
I'm pretty sure this would be illegal in Europe. This is like more calories in one meal than the average 10-year-old is supposed to consume on a daily basis.
Then Dawson takes this point and ties it back to the illegal gambling point and the illegal lottery point by showing that MrBeast has even added forms of lotteries or gambling to Feastables, encouraging kids to further engage with his branding in hopes of winning some free chocolate. Chocolate, yes! I love it!
To celebrate our launch of milk chocolate and sea salt, we went out and we bought 10 Teslas, loads of cash, and all these prizes you see on the screen. And prizes aside, unlike Hershey's, these bars only have 4 to 5 ingredients and just genuinely taste good. Go to Feastables.com right now and order some chocolate. Only problem is the chocolate river is deteriorating. All the
The only place you'll find no purchase necessary is either on the Feastables Twitter account because it's a rule of the platform, and even still they try to push it. No perched neck, or hidden deep in the Feastables website under a FAQ. And to enter for free, you have to mail in separate 3-inch by 5-inch hand-addressed written index cards, up to 10 a day.
Since the release of part 1, that video has absolutely exploded. I covered it, kind of shat on it a little bit. I feel bad about that. By the way, I foresee a MrBeast video coming soon called $1 Lawyer versus $1 Million Lawyer, because this is some crazy shit to just allege. Yeah, it's $1 million company. I don't know. It's kind of scary. I don't know if I would be saying that. Maybe I don't know. Let's see. Let's see how this goes. Since then, I have interviewed Dawson, released a part 2. We talked about it, and I believe that he is coming from an ethical perspective, which is cringe as it may be. I do think that it's probably pretty smart to approach this stuff ethically, because the systems that are already in place that you have to abide by to be successful on YouTube or social media in general are sort of unethical as it is. That's the nature of business and the nature of all this stuff, and like, it's very complicated. It's a minefield. I like the idea of just always trying to improve. And when people criticize you, you can change and improve through that criticism. And I believe that Dawson is an excellent vessel for this, for anyone, not just MrBeast, but a lot of content creators who want to be incredibly successful. I like Dawson. I'm gonna be honest. I really like Dawson. He's a very cool guy who I think means well. His first video is not monetized. His second video is not monetized. Sure, he's getting a lot of views and clicks and all this stuff, but like, this is journalism, guys. It's like actual real life YouTube journalism. It's not what I do. It's not what any of my commentary compatriots really do. It's like CoffeeZilla and then Dogpack. The two biggest stories that have ever come out of YouTube, the Logan Paul shit and also now this MrBeast stuff. So, you know, think what you think. Let me know what you think down below. So yeah, like 12, 13, 11, I don't even know how many views it has, his part 1 video. Since then, there's been no response from MrBeast, no action whatsoever. People want action. They want to hear what he has to say. About 2 weeks have passed without any kind of new news, but yesterday, this date, Dawson uploaded part 2 that was once again almost an hour long. But this time, the allegations are far worse. After the release of part 1, Dawson had a ton of people reach out to him with negative experiences that he could share. The skeletons, once they start falling, they just keep on falling. The dominoes, the Jenga tower, however you want to see it. Part 2, substantially worse than part 1, and the new allegations Dawson made, he didn't wait for a response from MrBeast before launching that second volley. And holy shit, it's pretty wild. He opens up the second video with an ode to Content Cop. He replicates the OG costume, the music, the chaotic intro sequence, not sequent. So there's entertainment value there, there's some humor there, but when you get past that, what exactly does Dawson try to say in this video? Well, this time he is joined by another former employee of MrBeast, a writer for the channel named Jake Weddle, who throughout the video shares his experience that he had working at the company. And it's not as good as the experience that Dawson had, and Dawson's experience was already pretty bad. And also, it's important to note too, Jake is the one that's coming forward and like the focal point of this second video, and he's the one going public with all this information. Dawson states that there are many, many, many more people, hundreds, he claims, that wish to remain anonymous but share very similar stories, and people have shared screenshots and text messages, and a whole bunch of wild evidence has come out since part 1, and it has been tied into part 2.
After posting, I got hundreds of messages from former MrBeast employees, and I had them all like send proof of former employment. You know, just people showing their support or telling their stories of you know, fake videos or unsafe practices, you know, toxic workplace, stuff like that. I'm not really gonna get into those claims because, for one, like, most people want to stay anonymous, which I understand.
And a lot of people will probably shit on this. Well, if they want to remain anonymous, then they're, you know, what they say could just be lies, and they can't be held accountable, and they can't be held to a standard of integrity because they're remaining anonymous. But man, shoo bud, walk like a duck, quack like a duck. There's all these people coming out. You gotta have some problems. There's some problems. There's definitely some problems there. There's certainly some problems. And with all the Logan Paul stuff, also Logan Paul's in MrBeast videos. Why is Logan Paul in MrBeast videos? Why is Logan Paul buddy with MrBeast? What the f? Why is that a thing? That doesn't seem right. So now it's time to go through the claims that are made in the second video. If you guys want to know, I would recommend watching the second video for yourselves as well as the first video. I'm sure I'll probably have Dawson on to interview him to clarify any stuff here. So ask your questions down below. I want to get as much context as we possibly can and do as much thinking as we can and maintain a middle fair ground until MrBeast responds and we give him a chance that he rightfully deserves to defend himself, if that's even possible in this scenario. This video is bad. It's really bad. It's like, I'm trying really hard. Okay, guys, trying really hard. The first claim that's sort of briefly mentioned is that there was a cameraman for the 100 Boys and 100 Girls video that was creepy towards women and made them feel uncomfortable.
During the 100 Boys versus Girls video, I have people corroborating the same story that the camera guy who gave the girls a drone was making some girls feel uncomfortable you trap these girls in a circle and make them sleep on rough turf and get them high on paint fumes, and then you try to f them.
That's bad. Beyond this, there are several little things that are teased. The primary focus of this video becomes an interview with Jake Weddle, the man we introduced earlier, a man who was supposedly pretty high on the company totem pole. Jake worked for MrBeast in 2019 and 2020, and he was both on and off camera. He describes himself as the following.
Most people who, if you know me from MrBeast, I'm a deep cut. I'm in a few of the videos, sometimes maybe purposefully kept to the shadows a little bit. I'm in the cutting room floor a lot of the time. But I've been in some videos. I've worked on a lot of them. I was there from 2019 to 2020, 2021-ish when I came back and did some more. I was there when they were authentic, and then I saw the transition to what I feel like is a company. He's like a TV show now. It went from YouTuber guy with a camera to Amazon.
Jake then describes the existing split in company culture into two tiers. People that Jimmy liked who got random bonuses and screen time.
The culture around there was very unspoken, but there was a vibe. There was half the people who, if you made Jimmy happy, you were on the good half. And these people got random bonuses and were usually moved up, had more screen time.
And then people who Jimmy didn't like, who were often left out or their footage was just chopped and left on the cutting room floor, etc.
And then there was people who, if you had a disagreement or butt heads with Jimmy or just you didn't like it, you know, you were the other half.
So that's a claim, you could say, you know. MrBeast being sort of unfair, he just puts people he likes in the videos, puts people he doesn't like out of the videos, cuts them out, which that sort of makes sense, right? Like, you're not entitled to just be in someone's videos. He is Jimmy Beast, he's Jimothy Beast, he has the mark of the beast. Jake says that he was in the half that Jimmy didn't like, and he followed it up by saying it's fine because he doesn't like Jimmy either.
I consistently was in the half that Jimmy doesn't like me. That's fine. I don't like him either. It's okay. Oh, that feels so good to say. I don't like Jimmy. I hate you so much.
Then he looks at the camera and delivers a hard line. I would say that this could be seen as something that sort of devalues the argument, just saying you hate someone. It kind of points out that you're maybe a disgruntled employee and you just want to see the world burn instead of actually achieving some kind of positive end result, which is fair and valid, I guess, if you just want to see shit get taken down and tarnished. But there are going to be a lot of people who are going to try to disprove all of this, and the disgruntled employee discreditation is something that's very real and people have used in the past to defend MrBeast. Me, I've done that. I'm sorry, I've done that. I have done that. Yes, I was a MrBeast apologist, and now I'm normal, I guess. I don't really see any indication that there is an iceberg or that this would be just the tip of said iceberg. Evidence or not, social media doesn't give a fuck. There's blood in the water, dude. There's an opportunity to tear down MrBeast right now, and that seems to be what's going on. There's a lot of stuff coming out. The MrBeast witch hunt has officially begun. Jake does say that he was disgruntled for quite some time.
And I was, disgruntled for quite some time. So I've talked to reporters, right? Like, publicly.
Also, just being disgruntled doesn't invalidate you at all, by the way, either. Like, for example, if I had an employee, I have a lot of employees. If one of them was very disgruntled and I didn't know, I feel like I would know, probably. I've had some, there's been some negative moments, whatever, but I try very hard to not leave people out in an unreasonable way. Like, if obviously I'm not gonna invite everybody all around all the time, that just doesn't make any sense, but it's like, there's a certain, I don't want people to be disgruntled. I don't really want them to hate me. I don't feel good when people are upset because of me, and I like to resolve that situation. I don't know if that's normal. So like having an employee years on saying they're just clearly disgruntled would me up. I feel like that would suck. Yeah, and I feel for Jake though, really. Then they go on to talking about faked videos, and they talk about the video where Jimmy crushed Jake's car with a meteor.
He wanted to do a prank where, unbeknownst to the person, he takes a rock, crushes their car, and they're supposed to think a rock came out of space.
We're gonna take a meteor and we're gonna put it on Weddle's car. We're gonna take another meteor and put it on Marcus's car. Both of them have no idea that we're doing this. Weddle and Marcus are probably shocked. They had no idea.
And so that was the one and only time I had to, my car? What?
He had to play up and dramatize his reaction, and he texted his mom, so when they called her to tell her, she could also play up everything and dramatize it.
So I had to text my mom, who had to beg to get the title very quickly. Now I'm texting my mom, I go, Mom, I'm about to call you about the meteor thing. You have no idea? Be surprised. And then I hit send, and then they go, call your mom now. And I call my mom and I tell her, and oh, she should have got the Oscar.
He's helping MrBeast's fake content is the claim here. He's like an actual witness to this because he perpetrated it. After the dramatization or faking, they gave him $10,000 to buy a new car, and the $10,000 was supposed to be the down payment so he could get like a flashy car, but his salary couldn't afford a big, awesome, nice car, so he got a minivan. Minivans are pretty expensive though. They're pretty slick, dude.
They're supposed to give me $10K to put a down payment on a new car, and they wanted me to get like a big flashy new car. $10K was supposed to be a down payment.
And at this point, I'm going to start referring to Jake as Weddle, because soon we'll be talking about another former MrBeast employee also named Jake the Viking. So I think calling Weddle will help distinguish the two from this point. But Weddle elaborates that his pay was dog shit. That's why he couldn't afford a van or a car better than a shitty Chevy van. I don't know if it was a Chevy van. I just always call vans Chevy vans.
I can't afford a big flashy new car because I work at MrBeast. So I couldn't get anything I couldn't afford the taxes on. I couldn't get anything I couldn't afford the insurance on. So I do my part of the video, and I get a mom van that I could afford. And Jimmy was like, why didn't you get a cooler car? I was like, I can't afford that, bro. Come on, what are you talking about?
He then says that if he had worked on a TV show in the 90s that was a quarter as successful, he could retire by now, but that wasn't the case with Jimmy, which I don't really know exactly the context of that.
If I was working on a TV show in the 90s, on a show that was a quarter as successful, I could retire today. But now I make dog shit pay, making gajillionaires more money. And I just walked into the writer's room, and that's one of the reasons why I left.
And in spite of Weddle's pay being unimpressive by his own standards, he shares that he had it better than another writer. Weddle shares that himself, a young 20-something white guy, was paid more than another writer, a black fellow, who was older and had kids to take care of.
There was another writer there, older comic, black guy, he had a kid. And I got paid more than him, and I thought that was wild because he was older than me, had a child, we're doing the exact same job, and I'm some 20-year-old white guy, why am I getting paid more than him? I brought that up.
I assume the implication here is that there's a level of racism at the Beast compound, and Weddle's already saying that he's not being paid enough, and then he's like, well, look at this guy who is not a white guy, and they're racist here, he's being paid even less than me, so it's like extra bad. I guess that's the implication, I assume. And then in this moment, Weddle gets emotional and begins to cry because he feels guilty about the way that things played out. And he says that he spoke up because he wanted this other writer to be compensated appropriately, even though the other writer hadn't wanted to rock the boat, but he trusted Weddle and joined them in the meeting. And that resulted in both of them being let go with severance checks.
But he said, hey man, if that's how you feel, you know, like if that's like, I trust you. He stood with me. He went to that meeting with me. And I said my piece, and he backed me up. I said, I need XYZ or I'm out of here. And they said, bet, and they gave me a severance check the next day. And they gave him a severance check the next day.
So, you know, Weddle at this point is posing himself as the ultimate virtuous hero, essentially. And we get an idea as to why Weddle was emotional, because he was thrilled to be paid to leave, but the other writer was devastated because all he'd wanted was to just be in the room.
Me, I was over the moon. I was like, you're gonna give me a check and I get to leave? You know, I don't get to deal with the how many Orbeez can I fit up my asshole every day, you know? And I get to go home and you're gonna pay me to leave. I was over the moon, and he was devastated. He did not want. I said he just wanted to be in the room, you know?
He didn't actually want to get fired or anything like that. So it's, you know, Weddle made demands. This guy faced consequences. Also, MrBeast, you know, meet them. I'd say this is a very area of gray. There, you know, HR could handle this for sure. Proper HR could definitely handle this situation. And Weddle clearly feels guilty about this, and he's being honest, clear and transparent. Weddle describes Jimmy as an opportunist, and that when he does philanthropic things, it's calculated because of the gain that the philanthropic activity will result in and the furthering of all of that.
I think it was the smartest decision for him that he calculated, because he's very good with numbers. If I donate to charity, people can't say I'm shitty. If I give this homeless guy 10K, what do you mean I'm a bad guy?
I've been guilty of saying that, you know, so what? Who cares? It's philanthropic. It's philanthropic. And that's sort of true, but I actually don't hold myself to that standard. In fact, whenever I do anything philanthropic, I always keep it secret. So it almost seems like I've done nothing philanthropic ever. That's supposed to be a joke. I'm sorry. I think it's clear at this point, this Weddle guy, doesn't like Jimmy very much, all right? So we're in 2020 and there's bad blood already between Weddle and Jimmy. But Weddle would still return to the channel back in 2021 for a video that never was uploaded because of how poorly it went. There's a video on the MrBeast channel from 2 years ago titled $10,000 Every Day You Survive Prison. It has over 200 million views, in which a guy is put into solitary confinement, and each day that he stays in there, he gets $10,000. Weddle reveals that this was the second attempt to make the video after he tried to do it first.
If people don't know, that was the second attempt. The first attempt was on me. And it didn't go well.
And the way that he describes his experience with that video and the filming of it sounds like it took inspiration from Guantanamo Bay, if true. Weddle described the facility as terrible and the following.
It was a terrible facility. I mean, it was in one of the studios. They had to get a separate tank for, septic stuff. Yeah, there was a hot tub in it. Yeah, there was an ice cream machine. Things were cool and funny on paper. But when you think about stuff, a hot tub that's not connected to a filtration system, give it 3 days, it's gonna stink.
So yeah, that thing stunk. Ice cream machine smelled like shit. Weddle also claims that they didn't turn the lights off at any point, so there was no light or dark cycle emulation for circadian rhythm, which is just torturous in and of itself.
They weren't turning the lights off. I asked them, I said, can we have nighttime hours? And they said no, because it would fuck up the time-lapse shots. The time-lapse of what, me sleeping? Or me not sleeping?
It also made it so Weddle had no way of knowing how long he'd actually been in there, or, it made it impossible for him to maintain any sort of sleep schedule or... Take this opportunity to stop watching the video and go do something outside, and go touch grass or whatever, anyways.
I wasn't sleeping. I could not sleep, and I have insomnia problems now. But they might have started there.
Weddle points out that nighttime hours were something that were present in the video that was uploaded the second attempt, but the video that Weddle was in made him feel like he was a guinea pig that was just tortured, and they learned what to fix for the video so that it would actually go live and they would, recoup their torture investment, I guess. So then we get to the point in which Weddle loosely accuses MrBeast of committing a war crime on him.
And I go up to my friend, my good friend. And I go, they're not turning the lights off. He goes, what? That's a war crime. We're not allowed to do that to terrorists. Oh, good. 24 hours breaking the Geneva Convention, I guess, is what we're doing.
So apparently this is what he was told when he raised concerns in regard to the refusal to turn the lights off to his friend. Dawson clarifies this in the video and states that he's technically unsure if it is a violation of the Geneva Convention. Imagine if MrBeast violated the Geneva Convention. That would be insane. Huge if true.
Which, I'm sure this isn't technically against the Geneva Convention on torture because he wasn't technically a prisoner. He could have left at any time, but because of the extreme pressure to stay in, it's not really a reasonable expectation that he could have just walked out.
Because of the implication.
At one point in the filming of Weddle's time in solitary, he also shares the following.
When I'm receiving some cash, he said, Jimmy said, can you say to the camera how thankful you are that now you can pay back your student loans? You know how hard it was to do a take of that? And pretend to make it genuine.
So they wanted him to praise Jimmy for giving him money to pay back his student loans. What the That's crazy. Tell him about how I'm the benevolent savior. It reminds me of that meme where it's Ronaldo and he's got the drink and he's got the camera and there's just baby monkeys being tortured and stuff, and that's always what it's about, is baby monkeys. Weddle was the baby monkey in this case, and Ronaldo was MrBeast. Weddle also uses this information to point out that they were willing to fake aspects of other videos, but why weren't they willing to fake anything for this one? I mean, you could just lie and not. It'd be so easy to fake 100 days in solitary confinement. It'd be so easy to fake.
If they're faking videos, why couldn't we fake this one? If we're allowed to let these cast members have some time off of this difficult challenge, how come we couldn't turn the lights off?
Dawson's first video showed when the 7 days at sea video faked them sleeping overnight, allegedly. So why couldn't they do the bare minimum of just turning off the lights for Weddle when he was 30 days straight in solitary? So,
During this time lapse on the 4th day of 7 days stranded at sea, you can clearly see there's no one in the shelter. These are their empty beds. But after a hard cut, magically 5 people are awake, and 2 of the boys have bright yellow raincoats that they didn't have when it rained on day 2.
And after standing the whole night, completely soaked.
You didn't spend the night soaked. Jimmy, you slept on the production yacht. It's ironic because this is one of the videos where they claim that they don't fake things.
But no, we have to be the real channel that doesn't fake things.
A lot of things that I am interested to see what MrBeast has to say about and see if there is any process of debunking this or if he's just like, yeah, sorry, we made a lot of mistakes. I'm so interested in seeing what happens here. You know, there's a lot of weight in this, and we haven't even gotten to the crazy part yet. The crazy part is at the fucking end. That's not good, but I think what makes matters even worse is when Weddle says that Jimmy joked with him at the start of the video when he was sent to prison by saying, "You're going to jail, you're like your dad."
But he says to me, all right, you're going to jail, you're like your dad.
Which would normally be a joke between like friends, and Weddle would have been fine with that, but Jimmy was his boss. They're obviously not friends.
But when my friends do it, it's fine, and Jimmy just wasn't my friend.
And it leaves even more of a bad taste in your mouth when you realize that earlier in the video with Dawson and Weddle, it was revealed that Weddle's father was in prison for sexually abusing a minor.
I had a very traumatic life. My dad is in jail for sexual assault of a minor, you know, so this kind of stuff is very near and dear to my heart. You know, I don't fuck around with this shit.
So saying you're like your father before putting Weddle in a cage for 30 days without ever turning on the lights, it's absurd, right? It's pretty bad. Yeah, it's not good. Things push over the edge pretty easily there. This makes sense. Also, like the pressure's on. If you f up here, the video is ruined and it will be because of you and you will certainly be fired.
Did you try to say no? Like, did you have a choice or?
Based on the Rubik's Cube thing and based on all the other stuff, like there was so much pressure to just do it, just do the thing, you know? And if I refuse, it's just, oh, that's the whole video. I guess the budget's, you know, so much money up in flames because Jake said he wouldn't want to do the thing.
Then they go through essentially what's more torture.
Jimmy comes in and I'm asleep. I don't know what time it is. I don't know, it's like 2 or 3 or whatever. He's like, why is he sleeping? I don't know, because I can't sleep. And he comes in, he wakes me up. And he goes, ask me why I have 2 briefcases. And I'm like, why do you have 2 briefcases? And he goes, oh, because this one's for today, you know, and this one's for the challenge. And I go, what's the challenge today? He goes, you're gonna run a marathon.
With Weddle spending a bunch of time in that room and him on the treadmill, etc.
You're gonna do the 22.6K, whatever it is. You're gonna do it on that treadmill over there. The first challenge I did was a Rubik's Cube, and I'm dyslexic, I'm dumb. I don't know how to do a Rubik's Cube. So your first challenge, Rubik's Cube. I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. I was like, on camera, I don't want to do that. You go, just do it for the thing, like, you know?
Then when Weddle finally left the room he'd spent weeks in, he said that Jimmy seemed so fake in his interaction when Jimmy checked in on him.
He does the exact same thing when he's pretending to have a human connection. You know when you're watching a video, and he's like, oh, stop, you're gonna make me cry. And he like touches his eye or whatever as if he's crying. He's just... I didn't have to pretend to do that shit.
And it quickly turned into making sure that Weddle wasn't going to sue him or the company, which is pretty fucked up, having to ask someone if they're gonna sue you because of the essentially torture.
As if rehearsed by his lawyers. Yeah, you know, your mental health's the most important thing, you know, just wanna make sure you're okay. And the last thing we want you to do is... I can almost hear the word sue come out of his mouth. The S, he just stopped right before it got out.
Then Weddle reveals that he wasn't even paid the full amount that he was told he was going to be paid. Instead, he got a fraction.
I did not get the 300K. What I got, he goes, think of it this way. At least you get to keep what you earned. You know, you were in there for XYZ days. You did XYZ challenges, so you got, you know, 100,000 some change, you know, give or take.
I assume this is because he tapped out before the full 30 days. Not 100% sure. So it was like prorated considering what he was put through, though you'd think that they would compensate him fairly well. I'm not sure. Then Dawson interjects some text exchanges here to add context of the events and between Weddle and former other people around the shoot and all that stuff. It's pretty good. He affirms that everything he's saying now is exactly what he said then. It's also revealed that Weddle was in therapy following this time, and his body took quite the beating with blisters and sores bothering him for days after the fact. It was voluntary, surely, but like there's a weird level of pressure and just kind of a desire to want to perform, and I don't know. You gotta be really careful from the MrBeast side ethically there. Definitely was not handled correctly. I keep saying it was voluntary because I know that's a lot of people's criticism. It's like, why is he yapping so much? Wasn't he there on his own? You know, why is he get a job somewhere else? It's a little more complicated than that, guys. Come on, let's be real. Don't be like me, all right? And then this part is where things get pretty crazy, pretty alien. Dawson drops some wild shit. For example, a no does not mean no section in the Beast employee handbook, and a section of how to succeed. It's a MrBeast official document. Company basically says that if you go to a location scouting it to film and you're told you can't film there, you are not allowed to take no as an option, and staff for MrBeast is advised to seek out employees and bosses who might have kids who like the channel to use that to leverage manipulation. Like, that's insane. I can't even record in public, let alone imagine writing this non-ironically. That is crazy.
Specifically on page 19, there's a paragraph called "No does not mean no." Already insane, because it seems to be co-opting the popular anti-rape slogan, which is a terrible look given the allegations that are going to be coming out very soon. It reads, "When dealing with people outside MrBeast Productions, never take no at face value. If we need a store to buy everything inside of, and you can call the local Dollar Tree, and the person that answers says, no, you can't film here, that literally doesn't mean shit."
Don't just stop because one person told you no. Stop when all conceivable options are exhausted. Huh? What is this, the CIA? That's really weird and really bad. That's really weird and really bad. I've got an employee handbook, and it's nothing. I'm gonna tell you what, guys. It's nothing like that. Holy shit. Here comes all the crazy shit. Dawson asks Weddle if there was ever any sexual misconduct outside of the allegations currently surrounding Ava Tyson, and aside from like water cooler talk and rumors.
But it's like water cooler talk, but I've heard things, yes, of course.
Weddle shares that there was a sex offender who was on the sex offender registry working at the company.
You know, the tangible proof that he knew but covered it up. Yeah, how do you prove that, you know? Well, there was a known sex offender, registered sex offender, convicted sex offender.
And in the video, it looks like this may have been shown in like at some point, but it was blurred after the fact, I assume, because people were doxing this guy. This blew up massively on Twitter, and a ton of information has come out about this. And in my opinion, this is the thing that needs to be addressed. Like, genuinely. Everything else for sure needs to be addressed, but this is like, you did what? What happened? You hired who? Strange. It also turns out that this sex offender is actually a relative of another former MrBeast employee, and the circumstances around this are very disturbing. Jake the Viking! Yay! But before we get into that though, Weddle also put out his own video. I would recommend you guys checking that out and coming to your own conclusions for all this. What do you think about Dawson? What do you think to his character? Do you think he's, is this just virtue signaling nonsense? Is there, big chunks of ethical truth? Do you think that all these content creators should be held to insanely high standards because they're using a system that's like really easy to manipulate? And I don't know. What do you guys think down below? Let me know. What do you think of Weddle, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? I genuinely read all these comments, and I want to know what the thoughts of specifically, the constituents of my platform believe. So back to Jake the Viking and the whole sex offender thing and Weddle. Weddle alleges from what he hears that this guy is on the registry and that they knew that.
From what I hear, I can't confirm or deny, from what I hear, he's on the registry for doing some not great stuff to some underage people. And they knew that. And he's working at a channel that has underage people on and around and is targeted to underage people.
That's his allegation, that this guy, he's on the registry for sure, but he alleges that they knew that.
Even if that guy didn't do anything, they still knew about it and he was still around.
And the fact a person like that works for MrBeast, which I would argue is a child-dominated channel by its fan base, is sickening. That is a sickening fact that anyone like that could work for this company. Say what you will about forgiveness, second chances, exoneration, time going by, rehab therapy. You don't have to work for MrBeast, all right? You don't have to work for Child Channel, all right? You don't have to be a teacher. You don't have to work for Nickelodeon. I don't want these people working. I don't want these people working. They should be treated differently, all right? They should. You don't get to work for MrBeast, all right? You got to go knocking on door to door. Good. Yeah. Also, you shouldn't be able to work for MrBeast or anything that has to do with children in any way. The Weddle parts were mostly speculative, but it is eventually pointed out that this specific character they're referring to is called Delaware.
But when I was there, they called him Delaware. It's like, why do you call him Delaware? I didn't know. Apparently, they called him Delaware because he's not allowed to go back to Delaware.
And this is a guy that could have been in the Discord server as well. Somebody who's genuinely on the registry. We later learned that this character is known by someone specifically on the MrBeast team. That is Jake the the Viking. So we go to Twitter and we see Jake the Viking essentially live tweeting the intro of Dawson's Part 2 premiere, talking about Weddle, confirming things with Weddle. Then there's no response after that first tweet from Jake the Viking until today. And today, Jake the Viking clarifies that Delaware, the registered sex offender from the video, is his brother-in-law, a guy who's actively in his life, his brother-in-law. So he tweeted a couple months ago, Jimmy knew, but it falls right back to him. This guy's, it's his brother-in-law. What the f is going on right now? Huh? How many people are doing this sex offender shuffle in this circle? What's going on? Jake the Viking stated on Twitter that he was the reason he was even hired by Jimmy, and that he sat down with Jimmy and his mom and explained to them that he was in fact on the registry and that they kept him there. He was a behind the scenes manager and was in videos, but wore a mask. Guess why? Probably because he's a sex offender and shouldn't be showing his face on a channel that's made for children. So according to Jake and Weddle, MrBeast knew that they hired a sex offender, and you know, it's kind of bizarre. I've been critical of Jake the Viking's credibility before, but him trying to take the high road here in this situation, in my opinion, has completely ruined his credibility, because he knew as well and used this in other interactions with Ava. Ava was using this against him and he was like, oh, like, what? So Jake is the only reason that this sex offender even has a job? So it's like rules for me. What do you guys think about this? This is really confusing to me. Maybe I don't understand the situation properly. As for the sex offender, the story is that when this guy was 21, a 16-year-old girl came out and accused him and others of SA when she was 11 years old. So if we do the math, Delaware was 16 years old and the girl was 11. A 16-year-old biologically mature man and a child. That's the context, okay? It doesn't matter. It's very bad. This led to Delaware apparently taking a plea deal that put him on the registry, but he didn't have to actually serve jail time. I don't know about you guys, but I don't know a lot about plea deals, but you know, what I kind of do know is the sort of meme around plea deals, and that is you don't have to sit before a jury and be judged by your peers. It's like you take a lesser charge or something to commute a set. Like, it seems weird. I don't know, plea deals are strange. Then the ending of the tweet states that he believes that this sexual offender did nothing wrong and he looks forward to his charges being dropped. So even if Delaware is innocent, this is now someone who is defending a sex offender who got him his job at MrBeast headquarters, but was also calling out MrBeast about this beforehand too. It seems confusing. Once again, maybe I'm not understanding this, so take it with a grain of salt, but it seems odd to take a hard stance on this and then turn around and then just defend this guy. The plea deal, also confusing. This is all really bad, and I need explanations from everybody, including Jake the Viking and MrBeast. You know, like, what is going on here? This is insane. All this also super unfortunate timing with MrBeast's new toy line being announced. So all the drama's going on, he decided to launch a toy line specific to his channel. Awful timing. Terrible, 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 terrible timing. And I'm assuming more and more stuff's gonna come out. There's already a lot, I'm sure. By the time I've recorded this, I'm sure there's 15 more things. This video will change. It'll be outdated by the time that it comes out. But we actually try to do research and try to look into stuff, and we still fail and come up short. So I apologize. You know, I am fallible. I'm a human being. Just kidding. I suck. No sympathy. I suck. So yeah, I'm looking forward, awaiting anxiously MrBeast's response to this. This is very bad. PR team's got to be shitting themselves. There's going to be a lot debunked, I'm sure, because there hasn't been any kind of response at all aside from Chucky. He didn't do a very good job responding, and he ignored a lot of important, valid points. I don't know, guys. What do you think down below? Do you want to see MrBeast burn? Do you want his head? Do you want to see him make big changes and improve? He did release this little PR thing that was leaked the other day. So it seems like they're very well aware that they're going to have to take a good shafting no matter what from all this stuff, and they're preparing for what's about to come. I don't know. I just want there to be a winner or some kind of W that comes out of the situation. I don't want a lose-lose. I don't want scorched earth from MrBeast lawyers. I don't want to set the precedent that people can just get sued for, you know, doing things wrong and getting called out for it. The court of public opinion, everyone should be able to communicate and criticize each other. I don't know, dude. Drama is so exhausting though, and I do not like it, and I wish it would stop. But I also wish people were just better. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think it's valid? Do you think it's irrelevant? Do you think it's just virtue bait? What do you guys think? Do you think people yap too much? all those probably have nuggets of truth, and that's why I'm a fence sitter.